of Weathertop, and as you'll have seen from the first little introductory section, we've got the lights working. In fact, there's another set of lights at the other end I'll show you in just a moment. And I'm really pleased with the lights. I had the image in my head of the lights casting their light down over the running in boards as the trains came in. And that's exactly what it looks like, so I'm really pleased with that. It's also allowed me to show off the newest addition to the fleet, which is Rodeer, the LNER B1. I think this is the first LNER livery train that I've managed to get, but it's in the black lined livery. Terrible thing, Facebook, because it popped up one evening just before I was going to sleep that Rails of Sheffield had their Graham Farish sale on, immediately followed by Hatton's having their Graham Farish sale on, so obviously there's a clear out of Graham Farish stuff at the moment. But Rodeer was down to £79.50, which seemed too good to refuse, so I didn't. And so there it sits with its chip, and it's that arrived, I think I ordered it Tuesday and it arrived on Wednesday, mainly because I asked for 24-hour delivery, so that was encouraging. And that's now joined the fleet, so that's I think that's 11 engines I now have, which is a nice number. I'm sure it could increase. But that's really very pleased with that, and you'll see that the wall behind is now firmly in position. I've completed all the bits of wall that I said I had to do, and they're now in position, and I can show you what it looks like for the whole thing. If we go back. So the wall starts here. It's lined up with the sections of the baseboard, and in fact it's deliberately done so that it's not all one continuous piece. I could break them if I needed to undo the baseboards, but the wall now runs, stepping up at 1/8 of an inch at each section, all the way along the back of the station until just beyond the station there. And there you can see the other set of lights that are with the running in board at the other end. And I'll come back to the running in boards in just a minute. But as you'll see, I needed to finish off the wall. See if I can get in close enough without losing it completely. There we go. And what I managed to build at the end was essentially that sort of end tower, which just finishes the wall off, and there's a smaller one at the other end. So that's the only section that's going to be walled in. The next bit, which I think I've mentioned, is going to have plaster cloth on, making the look of a sheer rock face, which I just haven't got around to doing because it's been quite busy at work and I've been travelling a bit. So, though not for much longer. 13th of July is my last day in the office, and then I'm retired. So then I can really spend a bit more time on the layout than I'm able to do at the moment. But that's really beginning to come together. I'm quite pleased with that. And I've also, I don't think you can see it here. Where that hole is at the back of I'm trying to get it to focus. There we go. That is the subway. You can see just about the back of the subway. Will you focus, you swine? There you go. That's the back of the subway going under the platform. The one on the other side had been sitting on top of the platform. That's now been recessed and cut down into it. And very handily, the legs of the canopy go over either side and help fix the end of the canopy. So then I can make sure that it's straight. And the canopy, or rather the slope to receive the goods, if I stop it there, this side of the auto coach, you can see the fencing for the slope down which parcels move. It's not intended for passengers at all. And then what we now have is a slope on the other side, and the fencing is up around the canopy legs to allow the parcels to come up the other side to go into the parcels office, which is there. And I may want to put a few more lights in, possibly to the waiting room, which is that, and to the buffet, which is at the other end, or the restaurant. But the running in boards, well, you've seen me make those, and you saw the mock-up last time round. That's the matchsticks now painted with a thin slice of foam board, using the foam board cutter to provide a base into which to set everything. And also that's then been painted with the Forest Earth paint that I got from B&Q, I think. And then my first use of scattergrass, just really to give it the look of not yet properly cultivated. If I can get some flowers, I will, and make it look a bit prettier. But at the very least, it does the job for me at the moment. And then obviously the lights just go straight through the centre. There's a big hole below to make sure plenty of room for wires and things to go down under the baseboard. And then it's been wired in so I could have it on for this. So the station is coming on apace. I'm really quite pleased with that. I think it really does look. It really looks rather well. I need to do a bit of weathering there because it all looks a bit clean, as though the Queen's due to visit. But that apart, I think it's going quite well. In terms of the other things that I said I would be doing over the last month, as I said, work has been busy, but I have managed to do quite a bit actually. And one thing that I hadn't intended, but on this board here, all the point motors are now wired in. If I can come down onto the track, you can see the pins sticking up from the point motors below. I'll take those off once I'm absolutely sure everything is working fine, because the problem is if something isn't working and I take it off and put it back in, there's just a chance the pin may not reach or something may not reach. So those will be taken off once I know that I've got all point motors wired in and working with the droppers on, because I haven't yet done any of the droppers, and because there's so many points there, because they're electro-frog and there are insulating rail joiners between the frog ends of the rails, it's going to need quite a lot of droppers in that section. So that's something I need to just be able to give my time to. And about here I'll probably put in a picture which I took of the underside, which shows all the point motors wired in. And as I mentioned before, if I come down to where the woodworm's been at its work, all these little holes here, there's the right number of holes for the right number of switches, which sit just below. Let me come out and we can, whoops, I will get the hang of this eventually, I promise you. There we go. That's my switching panel, that's the levers to switch all the points. And as you can see, there are now only 6 that need wiring in below. They've all now been soldered up, and it's the second panel from the right just need wiring into the chop blocks underneath. And then what will happen is that each point motor will be wired to one of the holes that is in the batten, and those obviously are in the same order. And then I'm going to use connectors to connect the wire as it comes out down through the shelf and into the chop blocks underneath. And the reason I'm doing that is that I want as much as possible to keep the top board without wires going down through the baseboard. That way, if I do need to replace a motor, I'm not trying to pull up loads of wire up through the baseboard. I'll have to undo all, what is it, 16 I think, 17 holes that are there. But it would be an easy thing to do. And I'll also be able to move precisely which wire I need to move for which point motor that's changing. So I'm quite pleased with that. That will work quite well for me. Hopefully this has been a really nifty piece of editing, because just after the previous section finished I got myself into a most almighty tangle. So this is to try and sort it out. What I was going to go on to say, which I'm now going to go on to say, is that there isn't a lot more to be done. The only other thing that I wanted to mention to you was the building of the bowstring bridge, which I hadn't intended to do, but I got myself to a point where I couldn't do any more on the layout because my knees were hurting. Having a mind that says you're 18 and knees that says you're 58 is a nasty position to find yourself in. And I crawl around happily underneath the layout until I try and stand up. So I needed to sit down for a while whilst my knees recovered. But what I've done is to build the bowstring bridge, which you may have seen. I think I did a picture of the thing in kit form from modelrailwayscenery.com. And I've bought quite a few things from them. Obviously this bridge, the detail of which is superb. I don't know if you can see, you can just see the studs on the plating, on the bow of the arch, and if I take it out there, you can see the stud work again on the plates, which are where the struts from each of that are holding up the arch come down to be bolted together. It's a superb kit, goes together very, very well. Takes a bit of painting, mind you. I decided I wanted to paint it by hand rather, because well, two things. I don't have an airbrush. I don't actually have anywhere I think I could safely use an airbrush, even if I had one. And I thought for the time when I was making that my railway has been set in, it would have been painted by hand. So that to the extent there are any brush strokes showing there, I'm not sure many do. But that gives you a good idea. It's a superb kit. I think he does it. Well, I know he does a double track version, and I think he may now do a longer version than this, because some people liked it so much, but they wanted it to span a bigger gap. And this will be the bridge that takes the line from Sharkey's End across the valley towards the final station on the branch of High Elven, and what will now be more of a goodsy area than it had been before. So I do commend. I don't get any money from him, by the way, just in case you wonder. It's just that if you get somebody that you've got some good stuff. I think it's Justin and Tina run the company, and he seems to be constantly thinking of new things to do. So I've got the shelving, which I showed you 2 videos ago, which is tiny, but which will go in the parcels office when that's done, and I'll probably try and put at least a fairly dim light in there so that gets to be seen. But I think that's probably about it for this month. It's a much shorter one than the last couple of months. Quite a bit of work has been done actually. I mean, as I said, the wiring in of the points took a wee while because you had to make sure that each of them was working. But hopefully for the next month, it is the thing is to get all the droppers in and the points wired in with their switches and all working. And then I can cut those pins off. And then we can have a circuit of track. And there's rumours going about that the castle has arrived at Rouse of Sheffield, and that presumably means it'll be at Hatton soon. So the Nunny Castle may soon be gracing us with sound, and you may see that. I would certainly hope you'd see that in the next video. But I hope you've enjoyed this. If you do, please subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you to all of those of you who have subscribed. I'm very, very flattered that so many of you follow this video. And if you give it a like and tell other people about it, that would be wonderful. So until I see you again next time, bye-bye.